In this video, I'm going to show you how you can start solving your big complex business issues in a structured way, just like the professional consultants do. I'm going to introduce you to something known as the initial hypothesis method, and it's going to cut your problem solving time in half. Hey there, if you've never been to my channel before, I'm Jarrod Schilling with The Business Technician. I've been in the world of small businesses for over a decade as an owner, an operator, and currently as a consultant for small businesses. Prior to that, I spent 7 years in investment management right out of graduate school and learned all the ins and outs of how big corporations operate. Over the many years, I've tackled a multitude of business problems along the way, from complex pricing strategy dislocations to difficult HR issues. And today I'm breaking down a structured method for creating an effective initial hypothesis, which is one of the most powerful but underutilized approaches to problem solving. And it's exactly what I use to help small businesses tackle big business problems. Most people attack business problems by gathering a ton of data first, hoping a solution will emerge, but this leads to information overload and analysis paralysis. Smart problem solvers work a bit differently. They start by forming an initial hypothesis, which is a structured roadmap of what they think the solution might be based on what they currently know. It's sort of like when you have an unusual bout of anxiety. Before running right to the doctor's office, you probably have an educated guess about what's wrong. Maybe it's a lack of sleep, lack of exercise, or there's too much on your plate right now. Having that initial hypothesis guides your approach to finding a solution in a more calculated way. Today, I'll show you a 3-step method to generate, structure, and test your initial hypothesis to help you solve any business problem. The first step is to generate your initial hypothesis by combining limited facts with structured thinking. When I sit down with a new client, I start by quickly absorbing the available information. This isn't about deep research, just spending 1 to 2 hours gathering enough facts to understand the landscape you're working in. I might review the sales data, talk to a few key employees or customers, or browse competitor websites. The key is balance. You need enough information to form an intelligent hypothesis, but not so much that you get lost in the details. Now identify the key drivers of your problem. For a sales decline, drivers might include your pricing strategy, sales process, competitive landscape, and product quality. Remember, your initial hypothesis isn't about being 100% right. It's just about creating a structured roadmap that you can then test and refine over time. Next, you want to structure your hypothesis in a way that makes it both actionable and testable. Start with a clear statement of what you believe will solve the problem. Then break this down into 2 to 5 main components, no more. These should be mutually exclusive, so no overlap, and collectively exhaustive, meaning they cover everything important. This is what the consulting firm McKinsey calls MECE, pronounced MECE, which stands for mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Knowing this, then for each component, create actionable recommendations. You can see in the logic tree I've built a very basic layout of what this might look like. However, in the real world, you want to use more detailed language. So try to avoid vague statements like improve quality. Instead, say redesign the manufacturing process to reduce defects by 20%. Or instead of we need better marketing, it would be we need to implement a targeted social media campaign featuring our specialty product to reach younger customers within a 5-mile radius. Now you want to create what I call an issue tree, a hierarchical breakdown of your hypothesis. At the top is your main hypothesis. Below that are your key components. Under each component, list the specific analyses you'll need to prove or disprove that part of your hypothesis. I'll talk more about this in an example at the end of the video. This structure transforms your initial guess from a vague idea into a systematic roadmap that can save you weeks of unfocused effort. Now, before investing time in deep research, you want to test your hypothesis for robustness. This step alone can save you tons of time and thousands of dollars in unnecessary expenses. First, we want to pressure test it with critical thinking. For each component, ask, what would prove this wrong? And what alternative explanations might exist. Second, you want to get input from others. Share your hypothesis with employees, trusted advisors, or even customers. Actively seek contradicting viewpoints. This exposes blind spots in your thinking that you simply can't see on your own. And finally, make sure your hypothesis is actually testable. For each component, ask, what specific data would I need to validate or invalidate this? If you can't answer this question, rework that part of your hypothesis. Remember, a good initial hypothesis isn't about being right. It's about creating a structured path to get to the right answer. If your testing process invalidates part of your hypothesis, that's valuable information we can then use to get to the true solution over time. Now let's apply this to a real-world example. Let's say you're a manager of a coffee shop and you notice that sales have been declining over the last 3 months. Step 1 is to generate the initial hypothesis. Looking at the basic sales data and observing the shop for a day, you notice shorter lines in the morning, a new competitor across the street, and some customer complaints about slow service. Based on this limited information, your initial hypothesis, shown in the top blue box, might be sales are declining because of increased competition, operational inefficiencies, and possibly pricing issues. Step 2 is to structure this into 3 testable components you can see in the second layer of the diagram. So we've got competition, the new shop is attracting our regular customers. Operations, our service is too slow during peak hours. And pricing, our prices may be too high compared to competitors. For the operations component, you create an actionable recommendation as seen in the orange box near the bottom. Restructure morning staff assignments to add 1 more barista during peak hours. Your issue tree for this component would include analyses that can be seen in purple in the third layer of the diagram, such as timing current service speed, comparing staff to customer ratios with industry benchmarks, and analyzing sales by time of day. Finally, we move on to step 3, which is to test this structured hypothesis based on the analyses suggested in step 2. As you can see in the bottom blue box, this initial testing confirmed our operations hypothesis. Service was indeed significantly slower during peak hours than industry standards. Now you can focus your deeper investigation into operations and see how staffing changes during peak hours might affect your outcomes. The initial hypothesis method might feel counterintuitive at first. How can you try and come up with a solution before it's been fully researched? But by creating a structured roadmap, you'll have more focused research done, avoid analysis paralysis, and actually come to solution faster over time. Remember the 3 steps. Generate your hypothesis with basic facts and structured thinking, structure it into testable components with an issue tree, and test it rigorously before deep investigation. Try this approach on your next business challenge, and you'll be amazed at how much more efficient your problem solving becomes. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I'm Jarrod Schilling with The Business Technician, signing off till next time.